Hello everyone, this is Dr. Nirmala from the Wellberry. Today we are going to talk about one of the most important macronutrients. Macronutrients get their name because they are the major source of energy for our body and we derive them from the foods that we eat. The three macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Macronutrients or macros as they are called are building blocks of our body and protein is one amongst these three. I would also like to add a word of caution that those with kidney, heart or liver problems should always check with their physician or their nutritionist before they actually get into dietary changes. As always, let me remind you that any dietary or lifestyle changes must be taken after consulting with a nutrition specialist or else with your physician. Now back to protein. What is the function of protein in our body? Like I said, it's one of the important building blocks. Proteins are important in repair and maintenance of our tissues and various organs. So if a person has had a fall, a wound, a fracture, and even post-surgery, they need adequate amount of protein in order to heal faster. Secondly, proteins are crucial to manufacturing antibodies. Antibodies help to prevent or fight infections in the body. Third, proteins are required for our muscles, bones, hair, skin and nails. One of the first signs that we are not getting enough protein in our meals is hair loss. The fourth main function of proteins is to produce hormones and enzymes. Hormones and enzymes are substances produced within the body by the body in order to ensure that it is functioning normally. When I talk to clients about adding enough protein in the meals, the first question that I get asked, because today everybody is going to the internet and educating themselves, is whether proteins will damage their kidneys. The second concern that I hear very often, especially amongst women, is whether protein will make them look bulky and very muscular. So over the years, protein has managed to get this very bad reputation. But that's not true, and it's my intent to educate you on the importance of protein, how much is required, and why it is required. How much of protein do we require? When we calculate the protein requirements for those who are insulin resistant and need to follow a low carbohydrate diet, the protein requirements of the body is calculated in terms of reference body weight. What is reference body weight? For example, a woman who is 5 feet 2 inches, the ideal weight for her would range from about 49.5 to about 55 kgs. Now this is also based upon her bone structure. Does she have a big bone structure or a small bone structure? So the weight of the person would vary accordingly. We calculate the protein based on their reference body weight and also the amount of physical activity they do every day. Are they sedentary? That means sitting at their desk most of the time. Do they do chores around the house? Are they involved in exercise every day? And if they are, what kind of exercise? Is it high intensity or low intensity? Based on all of this, the protein requirement of the body can vary between 1.2 to 2 grams per kg reference body weight. So if I look at the protein requirement for a woman whose reference weight is about 50 kilos and she is moderately active, I would need to look at least 1.5 grams per kg. This would come to about 75 grams of proteins per day. That's not to say that we get 75 grams of protein from, let's say, 75 grams of fish or 75 grams of chicken. No. That's because every food that we eat has carbohydrates, protein, fats, fiber, minerals, vitamins. One example is 100 grams of fish contains about 20 to 25 grams of protein. So the first thing to know is how much of protein should a person eat, and the second thing is to then decide from which food sources they are going to get this protein and how much of this food they need to eat in order to get the amount of protein that's required. What are the sources of protein? For non-vegetarians, it's all kinds of meat, poultry like chicken, turkey, duck, and eggs of course. Seafood like fish, prawns, crabs, these are very good sources of protein and they have lesser calories compared to other meat sources. Now, when I talk about meat, I'm talking about meat cooked with the bone because the bones have minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium which are absorbed into the dish that we cook. How about processed meats like bacon, sausages, ham? Just like many of you, I enjoy them too. But the fact is that these are highly processed, and while processing them, a lot of the goodness of the meat is lost. In addition, many companies add different kinds of sugar so that they get this very rich golden brown color when we fry them. Hence, it's okay to have them once in a while, but this should not be the regular source of your protein. For vegetarians, legumes or lentils, meaning dals, chana, rajma, these are a good source of protein and fiber. The other sources of protein are nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, pine nuts, pecans, seeds of pumpkin, watermelon, flax. These are also rich in protein and good fats. When it comes to vegetables, we have to look at the percentage of protein in each vegetable. That is to say, how much of protein is there per 100 grams of that vegetable. Some of the protein-rich vegetables are, and right at the top, there's spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, beans, mushrooms. So it's good to add a generous amount of these vegetables in our diet. From the earlier videos, you would have realized that people with insulin resistance and related problems are not advised to have milk because milk has the sugar lactose in it. However, fermented products from milk, such as paneer, curds, and cheese, these are a good source of protein and can be had even when a person has insulin resistance. In order to ensure that proteins are absorbed well in our body, we need to also include a generous helping of vegetables along with our meals. And finally, how does protein help in a low carb diet? Well, first and foremost, proteins help us to feel full. Studies show that when people who have starchy meals are compared to those who have protein-rich meals, it's those who have the protein-rich diets that feel full, longer, and faster. Most proteins by nature do not release as much sugar as carbohydrates. Hence, the insulin spikes in the body are far lesser than when a person has starchy and sugary food. The third way in which proteins help to overcome insulin resistance related problems is because the digestion and breakdown of proteins requires more calories, so our body burns more energy while processing proteins. Before I sign off, what are the three main points to remember from this video? First, protein is a major building block and it's important for the maintenance and repair of our body. Second, proteins are an important part of our diet if we are insulin resistant, need to overcome obesity or diabetes. And third, choose your proteins wisely and use good quality proteins while preparing your meals. I hope you've learned something through this video, and if you have, do like, share and subscribe. Until next week, this is Dr. Nirmala signing off, and remember, wellness begins with your plate.